What's up, witches and bitches? It's me, your girl, Nat. And joining me, as always, is my best friend, Katie.
What's up,
Today,
you punk-ass motherfuckers?
God damn! Today, we are going to dive into something very near to my heart and my family tree. So, what do you say, Katie? Let's go wading into the void.
Let's do it.
Let's start with our Halloween oracle before I delve into today's topic. I'm so excited for this. This has been like a month-long writing process. And not because I'm procrastinating, it's just because I was learning from Dylan. Dylan helped with this entire episode.
Okay, so in the description for the episode, we will put Dylan as a co-creator and link his Instagram. If he wants that.
See, I would, because his art is awesome. But he has really old pictures from before then of him, like, on the toilet, and it's just a picture of his underwear.
I've seen that.
Like, at his ankles. And I'm like, that's why I don't post your Instagram anywhere.
No, when you told me that, like, you first started dating Dylan or whatever, I went on to, like, you know, do the customary friend stalking. And I saw that, and I was like, interesting choice. So, Dylan, if this stays in the episode, I appreciate the out-of-the-box content.
Appreciate the commitment to being who you are.
Yes.
That's what it is. Okay, so, for today's Halloween oracle from Mrs. Stacy DeMarco.
Stacy!
You will not believe the card that... This card flipped out of the deck.
That shit flew straight up.
And I haven't even told you guys what this... I have not even told you what this episode's about.
I'm ready. Was it what I... Okay, show me. Show me, you whore. I can't wait.
Okay. Well, okay, so let me just tell you first. The card we got today is Cauldron.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome? We got Cauldron. Look
at
that.
It's such a cute one. It looks like a vase.
It is kind of like, it looks like it's holding buttermilk. Like, it looks like it holds buttermilk for some reason. I don't know.
I mean, I appreciate that. Hot take. How do you feel about milk?
I like milk. I can't really drink cow milk, but...
Oh, yeah.
I like almond milk and oat milk.
I'm gonna say something controversial here. Cow milk is delicious.
No, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but have you seen those people on the internet that are straight up like, ew, you drink cow milk? And I'm like, did you get any of the hood ads in your elementary school?
Yeah, right? Got milk, motherfucker?
Hell yeah, I do. But I also appreciate a good chocolate oat milk. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Cauldron, because we have a very limited amount of time that I want to read through. Because I have a lot of information to just fucking bulldoze through.
Okay, so Katie, mute yourself and pay attention.
For once, I'm the one cutting everything off. Okay, so let's talk about Cauldron, which represents synergy and healing. And the poem for this one says, where all things come together under pressure, flowful synergy. A new thing is created, a crucible of infinity.
Holy shit!
Holy shit. Every single thing we're reading has like a little tiny hint at what we're talking about. We have a cauldron.
I love
crucible. Okay? Now let me read the description for you all. A typical depiction of a witch sees her standing over a boiling cauldron, slowly stirring the bubbling and mysterious contents. As she stirs the enormous metal pot over the raw flames, she cackles and incants commands to all the elements, transforming the contents into something magical. Cauldrons were commonly used in ancient and medieval times for everything from the nightly meal to the making of medicines.
Love it.
This family crucible was usually placed within the heart of the home, making it an essential part of the gathering of family. Much healing and nourishment came from the cauldron. Should you receive the cauldron card, it indicates the importance of combining a variety of techniques or elements to get the best result. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Literally what I said, like, a couple days ago.
For real, though.
Crazy. Refuse to choose just a single rigid pathway when a variety of ways are there to be enjoyed and experienced. You can find your own ways to create something new. The cauldron is a deeply transformational tool. Things change once they're put under pressure. Resilience is being cultivated over time. And that means that you'll be able to withstand any negative pressure much more healthily from the inside out.
I love it. Flat out.
This is crazy.
I have nothing else to say other than I love it.
I love it. It makes sense. It makes sense to my life specifically, too. Like, today I went to my doctor's appointment, and I got medically diagnosed with bipolar 1, and I will now be going on medication for it, and I'm hoping it will help me become a more functioning person in society.
I'm very happy and proud of you.
Me too. But without further ado, the topic for today, I'm sure you can all kind of probably piece it together at this point.
And if you haven't, maybe, like, drink a cup of coffee.
Wake up! Today, we are talking about the Salem Witch Trials. And not only that, we are talking about how ancient Greece caused the Salem Witch Trials.
Send me
Katie,
down this rabbit hole.
You're not even ready for this. That's what I want the title of the episode to be. How ancient Greece caused the Salem Witch Trials. People are going to be like, what? But let me just explain, because it is very true.
People are going to think we're becoming a conspiracy theory
channel. Not really, because once I actually read you the facts, you'll be like, wow, yeah, ancient Greece caused the Salem Witch Trials.
Literally me with, like, Raid Area 51.
I don't know, man. This has a lot behind it.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the Salem Witch Trials occurred in colonial Massachusetts between 1692 and 1693. So it was only a year. Not even that. I don't even think it was that long. I think it was like 8 months or something.
No, but shout out to your ancestors.
Yeah, and we'll actually get into that. So more than 200 people were accused of practicing witchcraft, and 20 ended up being executed. And I think 4 died in prison.
Yes.
So I counted those among the executed.
As you rightfully should.
Yes. So eventually the colony did admit that the trials were a mistake. I'm going to preface this before I talk about the whole thing. They did admit that these trials were a mistake. All of these people were wrongfully convicted. Mm-hmm. And they did try to kind of make reparations somehow. And I'll talk about how they tried to do that.
Still need some work. We'll leave it there.
But the trials basically were caused by paranoia, injustice, and it was just like a craze.
Yes.
Of the time. And this is why ancient Greece caused it.
Okay.
Because it's so crazy. It's so crazy. I fell down the rabbit hole listening to Dylan. My boyfriend is a history major in college right now.
Shout out to Dylan.
Right now.
Everyone give him a round of applause.
Seriously, he gave me so much information for this. And it was like back-to-back conversations for like the past 4 weeks.
Perfect. He's just going to be our research buff if we need any information going forward.
Yeah. So he took like witchcraft in Europe. That's the class he took. Or that's a book he read, at least, or something. I don't even know. But, yeah, so the witchcraft craze kind of took over Europe from the 1300s to the end of the 1600s.
Sure did.
That's such a long time. That's 300 years.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of supposed witches, who are mostly women, of course, were executed. Now, before we talk specifically about the trials, I kind of want to explain what factors cause these things to happen. And this is where we're going to take a look back into history.
Okay.
So basically, I'm going to tell you why the church was so against witchcraft and what witchcraft really meant to them.
Hit me with it.
And, you know, Phantom Fam, we got to go back to ancient Greece to start this whole thing off.
There's no place I'd rather be.
And you know what? You might be thinking, huh? What? What does ancient Greece even remotely relate to Salem Witch Trials from the late 1600s in random-ass Massachusetts?
Well, you see, it actually correlates with the episode we just released yesterday on the history of Halloween.
Oh!
Not necessarily Greece, but definitely Rome. So there's a lot of crossover.
This is so funny because we haven't even recorded it yet. I have no clue.
You'll get it.
We're recording literally backwards, guys. So,
we actually are.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing, but it's working.
Bye,
so
babe.
that's fine. Okay, so older women were generally hated in society.
All times?
Of all times. Due to menopause and misogyny. Yay!
I just choked on my
much
soup.
fun. So much fun. We love menopause and misogyny.
We do.
Essentially, old spinsters were the most targeted group of individuals due to the belief that period blood is toxic, poisonous, and a cause for evildoing. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
but
listen to this.
Women in menopause? They don't fucking bleed no more, so why are they
Exactly. Because they're not actively bleeding out the toxins, they think the blood is still inside them, so that makes them more evil and witchy.
That is such a man thing. I can't even...
Exactly. They don't even fucking understand. I'm like, bro, you've never seen a vagina. You don't know how it works. Nothing. Okay, so according to the Christian church, which includes our Catholic and Protestant denominations, period blood would cause women to be lazy, have uncontrollable sexual desires.
Well,
they just want to fucking...
Can't argue.
Period blood could also apparently cause crop failure and could cause dogs to go mad if they consumed it. Like rabid.
But, like, why the fuck would their dog be near their period blood?
Exactly. These people are just fucking dumb.
I'm triggered.
And that's, like, not even it. There's so many more completely stupid and ridiculous things that they said period blood would do.
I hate it.
So...
I hate it.
Honestly, these are some really outstanding guys going around slandering any type of woman who has a vagina.
They're just mad that they don't have one. That's essentially what it was.
Probably. Anyways, so to justify the persecution of these quote-unquote witches, which in theory does include men and women, Pope Innocent VIII released a 15th century document.
I'm sorry. Pope Innocent?
They take on Pope names.
Oh, okay.
So that's not his original name, that's his Pope name.
Have we ever had a second Pope Innocent?
Well, he's the 8th, so we've had 7.
That one went over my head, but I guess what I meant to ask... What I meant to ask was, have we had a Pope Innocent the 9th? Like, have we had one since him?
I don't know. That was so fucking funny, though.
Sorry.
Oh, man. So anyways, Pope Innocent VIII released a document which is named in Latin, and I don't speak Latin, but
Rude.
it's from the 15th century, and it supported the opinions of two German inquisitors who wrote The Hammer of Witches. So basically, The Hammer of Witches is a book that tells people how to tell who's a witch, how to persecute them, how to interrogate them, and possibly even murder them.
Rad. Okay.
So these guys are what Dylan wrote a huge essay on, because their artwork specifically is what kind of drove the church to view witches in the way that they did.
Okay, so I hope you titled that report, "These guys are trash bastards," or whatever they said in Mean Girls. Dirty skank bitch, or whatever it was.
Oh my god! So, the works of these German 16th century Renaissance artists, it's Albrecht Dürer and Hans Baldung. They really shaped how religious figures and religious authority viewed women.
Lovely.
And the public image of witches.
Great.
So they initially got all of their ideas and thoughts and anything related to witches from ancient Greek plays and poems.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. What one is it?
Hecate.
Thank you.
Yeah. So specifically, Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft. And, you know, a lot of people really loved Hecate because she's awesome. I think she's awesome. But for some reason, they kind of took it and completely turned it into something it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because of, even further back in time, Roman poets kind of came up with the original idea of the witch.
Yep.
So these two German guys were making these awful sketches of witches, naked women doing crazy shit. And Dylan and I talked about it, and we're like, basically these guys probably used it to jack off to.
I was gonna say it.
And gave it to the religious officials to also do that. But they were so misogynistic, like, they hated women, but they also used it in that way as well. So
I love that this is the conversation you have at home.
yeah, we're scholars. So within their art, they have a lot of common themes, symbols, and tropes about witchcraft that are clearly inspired by all of the literature that they read about. And all of their artwork kind of reignited the fear and hatred towards women by society and church officials.
For sure.
And so the literature that they kind of consumed was from the Roman poet Horace, who created this witch character who calls upon Hecate and Tisiphone and vexed these human souls with spells and drugs and gathered bones and herbs, and she threw wax images on a fire and
I feel like I've read this.
Buried a wolf's beard and tooth of a spotted snake in the ground. Like, just this, like, evil witch vibes.
I mean, personally, I think she sounds pretty cool. Just
She does. She actually does. But they kind of were like, she's disgusting. She's vile. Like, she looks ugly, nasty. Like, she's a hag.
Oh, of course.
Kind of thing. So, and the witch's name is Canadia.
Canada. Okay.
Canada. Yeah. No. And then if we look at another, I think he's Roman, and I think he's like a playwright or another poet. I can't remember. Ovid, in his I don't know if this is a book or what, but it's Fasty, or Fosty. He describes these creatures called the Striges, which are basically like harpies. Okay. So they're like half woman, half bird creature.
Yep.
They fly around and they look for children. They snatch them, and they don't just eat the bodies. No. They defile the bodies.
I have no comment.
And then there's, like, Varro, who, like, talked about witches in front of a cauldron, and, like, all these things, like a cannibalistic witch, throws little chunks of people in her cauldron, and, yeah, really, basically, they have so many stupid, horny sketches based off of these Roman and Greek stories. And they just depict these women as witches. But my favorite sketch, I think this is from Hans Baldung, is the Witch and the Dragon. And it's just a young and very naked woman who's shooting period blood out of her cooch and into a giant dragon's mouth.
I'm looking this up. Say it again.
It's fucking lit. It's literally just The Witch and the Dragon by Hans Baldung. So,
The Witch and the Dragon. Hans.
Yeah.
Because our Google account was linked, so it popped right up. Where is it?
I can find it if you
what
can't.
The hell?
She's like squatting, and it's just shooting out of her.
Cute.
Alright, I haven't even gotten into the actual trials yet. But basically, that's it. So, that is the basis of why the church is thinking this way. Because, I mean, these guys are German, but they kind of influenced everything after that.
I see.
And it's not just these two guys. It's just Renaissance artists in general. But these two were just the focal point of Dylan's essays, so that's who we talked about the most. Are you looking at the sketch?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the image I clicked on is a Twitter post, and it says, "Whores of Yore" on Twitter.
That's basically, like, what they were seen as.
I love it.
Like, these... Yeah. But...
They're the original Playboy bunny. Okay, next.
No. No. So, now that we've established the church's doctrine and what they thought of these quote-unquote witches, let's talk about Salem.
Let's do it.
So, in January of 1962, Reverend Paris's daughter Elizabeth, who was 9 at the time...
Wait, I'm sorry.
And his niece... Huh?
You said 1962.
Sorry, yeah. Okay. In January of 1692, Reverend Paris's daughter Elizabeth, aged 9 at the time, and his niece Abigail Williams, who was age 11, started having fits. And this is where I immediately want to slap these children.
Snobby little bitches.
Because they caused this whole thing to get out of control.
Look, if you're bored, I don't know, go kick a rock around in the yard. Don't start like a whole mass
seizure.
Murder.
Like a fake seizure that causes a mass murder.
Yes.
So they were screaming, they threw stuff, they were making weird noises and contorting themselves, and a local doctor immediately was like, this some fucked up supernatural shit. And of course everyone fucking believed that.
Of course.
So, another girl, Ann Putnam, who was also 11 at the time, so she was probably friends with them, started experiencing similar episodes. So, there's a few girls in Salem who are having these fits. And on February 29th, under the pressure from magistrates Jonathan Corwin and John Hawthorne,
I just want to say it right now. Fuck John Hawthorne. That's all I have to say. Fuck John Hawthorne.
Literally. Because these guys pressured the girls to blame 3 women for causing these things to happen. So the girls probably wouldn't have chose people.
No.
But, of course, they chose these 3 women that I'm going to list, and I'm going to explain a little bit about them, and you'll kind of see why they probably chose them. These are the 3 women that the girls kind of convicted. Tituba, who was Paris's Caribbean slave, so of course she's a black woman. Sarah Good, a homeless beggar, who I'm either directly related to, or her husband, William Good, is my ancestor. So,
I just love that your ancestor is a homeless beggar.
I know, I was like, what the hell? Well, the thing is, William had a job. William was a laborer. Sarah's father owned an inn. However, Sarah didn't have a job, so she walked around begging while she was pregnant.
Fair.
And so that's when this happened. She's about 39 and pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's really testing that, like, cycle.
Yeah. And the last woman was Sarah Osborne, who is an elderly, impoverished woman. So all 3 of these people are minority, poor people.
Yeah.
And half of them are older. Like, they're older.
Okay.
Which is, obviously, it's kind of obvious why they chose these women.
Oh, of course.
Like, they
especially one of them.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to say right now, before Nat dives in, I want y'all to go to an altar or something, you know, light a fucking candle if you're religious, for Sarah and Sarah.
And Tituba.
No. For Tituba, I want y'all to go down to New Orleans, and I want you to put something on an altar for Tituba, because you know that girl was a damn voodoo queen. There's no way. She came from the Caribbean. She's not freaking Christian, like...
Yeah.
And if anything, it was forced.
Exactly.
At that time, essentially. Before they all, like, converted, whatever. But...
So, all 3 women were brought in front of everyone to be put on trial starting March 1st, 1692. Osborne claimed innocence, and so did Sarah Good. Yes. But Tituba confessed. And honestly, it was probably because she was threatened or something.
I was gonna say, she was forced.
But this is what she said. "The devil came to me and bid me serve him." And she described elaborate images of black dogs, red cats, yellow birds, and a quote-unquote black man who wanted her to sign his book. And she admitted that she signed a book and said that there were several other witches looking to destroy the Puritans. And, of course, even though the other 2 claimed innocence, all 3 of them were put in jail. So, after this, I really don't know how Tituba admitted all of that. I don't know if somebody told her to say that, or if she was like, you know what, I'm done with these fucking people. I'm gonna scare the shit out of them so they leave me the fuck alone.
I feel like she was,
what?
like, partially telling a truth. She said, the devil came to me and bid I serve him. She could have been talking in a metaphor about her quote-unquote masters.
Yeah.
So then the rest she's just riffing. But
I don't know. I really don't know. And I can't say because I wasn't there. I didn't talk to her.
You're not Tituba. So
I'm not Tituba. I don't know what really happened.
We'll leave that one up to her.
Since that, they kind of sowed the seed of paranoia. Because, I mean, this is just like the Red Scare. Like, all of these things are so similar. Once people get an inkling of fear and paranoia, it kind of just derails itself.
Like the plague.
Yeah, exactly. COVID.
Yeah.
Like, literally, people just take things and they run with it.
True.
And that's exactly what happened. So now, after that, a ton of people were being accused. Martha Corey, who was a loyal member of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And since people were like, oh my god, she's a churchgoer. If she's a witch, if she can be a witch, then anybody can be a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking Sarah Good's 4-year-old daughter, Dorothy, was even fucking convicted, and they got a quote-unquote confession from her. She's 4.
She can't even string together a sentence.
Like, what? And, okay, so everything kind of went crazy in April. Deputy Governor Thomas Danforth and his assistants started attending the hearings. Dozens of people from Salem and other villages in Massachusetts were brought in for questioning. So, like, I think 200 people were questioned or accused, and 20 were killed.
Yep.
Well, 24, I would say.
That sounds right.
That died. So, like, more than 10% died because of this. Which is crazy. So, on May 27th, 1692, Governor William Phips ordered the establishment of a special court of oyer to hear... okay. Special court... On May 27th, 1692, Governor William Phips ordered the establishment of a special court of oyer and terminer, which means to hear and to decide, of Suffolk, Essex, and Middlesex counties. So, the first case that was brought to special court was Bridget Bishop, who's an older woman known for her gossipy habits and promiscuity. So, already, we're kind of going back to that very original Renaissance kind of idea.
When in reality, she probably just showed her ankle once, and they were like, oh
my god! Anyways, when asked if she had committed witchcraft, she said, I am as innocent as the child unborn.
Okay.
She's innocent. She's saying she's innocent. And the defense was like, nah, you're guilty.
Of course.
On June 10th, she became the first person hanged on what was later called Gallows Hill.
Yes.
So we have our first victim in June.
Yes.
And this started in January. So 6 months of this bullshit accusing.
Hate it.
The first person is now killed. 5 days later, Cotton Mather, who's a respected minister, wrote a letter imploring the court not to allow spectral evidence, testimony about dreams and visions. Because that doesn't even fucking make sense.
True.
And the court basically ignored this. And due to that, they listened to people talk about dreams and visions, and 5 people were sentenced and hanged in July.
Yep.
5 more in August. And then 8 in September.
It's so freaking stupid.
And then October 3rd, following in his son's footsteps, Increase Mather, then president of Harvard, denounced the use of spectral evidence. And he said, it were better than 10 suspected witches should escape than 1 innocent person be condemned.
Yeah.
So basically, they're like, your evidence is bullshit. You're killing random people. Like, stop. Stop. The Mather family is like, please stop this bullshit.
They're like, you're not
stupid. Like, it's so dumb. Governor Phips, in response to Mather's plea and his own wife being questioned for witchcraft, prohibited further arrests and released many of the accused witches and then dissolved the court on October 29th, which is 2 days before Halloween.
This is Halloween. Yeah! This is Halloween.
But anyways, Phips replaced it with a superior court of judicature, which disallowed spectral evidence, and they kind of kept going and condemned 3 out of 56 defendants. Which is not as much, of course.
That's still
but
3
still,
people.
probably bullshit claims, too. Phipps eventually pardoned all who were in prison on witchcraft charges by May 1963, but the damage had already been done. By that time, 19 were hanged on Gallows Hill.
Mm-hmm.
One was tortured to death, and several people had died in jail. Don't say any names.
How did you know?
Nearly 200 people had been accused of practicing witchcraft. So, following the trials and executions, a lot of the people involved, including Judge Samuel Sewall, publicly confessed their error and guilt.
Good.
Like, almost immediately. So, like, that was... Yeah. Okay, so it ended May 1693, and 4 years later, January 14th, 1697, the court ordered a day of fasting and soul searching for the tragedy of Salem. And in 1702, the court declared the trials unlawful. And in 1711, the colony passed a bill restoring the rights and good names of those accused and granted €600 restitution to their heirs. However, it was not until 1957, more than 250 years later, that Massachusetts formally apologized for the events of 1692.
Obnoxious.
And the official death count for the Salem Witch Trials is 20 people. 19 victims were hanged at Proctor's Ledge near Gallows Hill, and one person who was tortured to death. And I'm adding the 4 people who died in prison because they were victims of the Salem Witch Trials.
Yes.
Other victims were either found guilty but pardoned, found not guilty, were never indicted, evaded, arrested, or even escaped from jail. There was a whole list of a bunch of people who just fucking escaped.
Those
It's
are baddies.
crazy.
Just saying.
Yeah. So now, I'd like to read the names of those who were victimized and ultimately murdered during the Salem Witch Trials.
Good.
And these are not in order
Okay.
of time.
So everyone stop what you're doing, pay attention, and listen and show them the respect they deserve.
Exactly. So we have Bridget Bishop, who was executed by hanging on June 10th, 1692. She was around 50 years old. George Burroughs, executed by hanging August 19th, 1692. He was 42. Martha Carrier, executed by hanging August 19th, 1692. She was 33. Martha Corey, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. She was in her 70s. Mary Easty, executed by hanging September 22, 1692. She was 56. Sarah Good, executed by hanging July 19th, 1692. She was 38. Elizabeth Howe, executed by hanging July 19th, 1692. She was in her 50s. George Jacobs Sr., executed by hanging August 19th, 1692. He was in his 80s.
Shit.
Susanna Martin. Yeah. Susanna Martin, executed by hanging July 19th, 1692. She was 71. Rebecca Nurse, executed by hanging July 19th, 1692. She was 71. Alice Parker, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. Her age was unknown. Mary Parker, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. She was 55. John Proctor, executed by hanging August 19th, 1692. He was 60 years old. His wife, Elizabeth Proctor, was condemned with him but avoided hanging because she was pregnant. And the executions ended by the time she gave birth. So her and their child were spared. Anne Pudater, executed by hanging 22nd. Oh my god. Anne Predator, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. She was 70. Wilmot Red, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. He was in his 50s. Margaret Scott, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. She was 77. Samuel Hardwell, executed by hanging September 22nd, 1692. He was 49. Sarah Wilds, executed by hanging July 19th, 1692. She was 65. John Willard, executed by hanging August 19th, 1692. He was in his 20s.
Oh, wow.
He was the youngest. And for our last person,
the OG
from the actual trials, is Giles Corey, who I think was 71.
Yes.
Who was the only person who was not hanged. Instead, he was tortured for 3 days in a field on Howard Street in Salem town in an attempt to force a plea out of him. To do so, he was pressed under increasingly heavy rocks, and they kept adding more and more rocks until, on the third day of his torture, on September 19th, 1692, he was crushed to death. And now, the 4 people who died in prison, awaiting trial. Sarah Osborne, one of the original, died in jail in Boston on May 10th, 1692. She was 40. Roger Toothaker died in jail in Boston on June 16th, 1692. He was 58. Anne Foster died in jail on December 3rd, 1692. She was in her 70s. And Lydia Dustin died in jail on March 10th, 1960. Lydia Dustin died in jail. And finally, Lydia Dustin died in jail on March 10th, 1693. She was between the ages of 60 to 70 years old. That's all I have.
That's way too many people.
It's way too many people. Yeah.
But if you want to learn about the legacy of some of these unfortunate victims and the OG badass man, Giles Corey, and how he gets his vengeance on Salem today, go listen to our Haunted Cemeteries Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that's a way to kind of lighten that mood a little bit.
And also, go visit Salem. Not during Halloween.
No.
Go during the spring or winter when you can actually enjoy it outside of tourism.
It's Halloween all year round in Salem.
Take a tour, go to a museum, learn more about it, because it was a huge tragedy caused by paranoia from the church from 3 little kids.
Yeah. That literally had nothing to do.
Exactly. So, as always, Phantom Fam, if you want to hear more about anything that we talk about, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at
Wading Into the Void.
You can find us on Twitter at
Wade Into the Void.
And I guess you can find us on TikTok too at
Wading Into the Void again.
I don't know what else to say.
Let's just not let this happen again.
Yeah, please, for the love of God. Well, actually, no.
Just don't let it happen again.
Just don't. Just don't. There's no reason. Also, if you know a witch, you're friends with a witch, you are a witch, hug them, hug yourself. Like, you're important. And don't let what other people think about you mean anything, because it really doesn't. Because,
Truth.
First of all, if you get your period, it doesn't make you evil.
No.
It doesn't make you evil. Being a woman doesn't make you evil.
And if you're in menopause, that doesn't make you evil either.
No, you've just lived a fucking life.
I mean, it might give you a hot flash, but that's about it. But tune in again tomorrow. We have some more good content.
Yes, very exciting. See you soon.
Adios.